I'm Ian Cormack. I'm a psychologist. I'm an HR professional. I've spent about 65% of my time in HR. Was HR director for a lot of big companies like Woolies, like CBA, Children Foods, Arnott's, Sara Lee. So 45% of adults are going to experience a wellbeing challenge at some point in their lives, and we've got to have the tools and the techniques in place to help support them when they do that. And the cost of a psychological illness at work is about triple the cost of a regular one. And so it's becoming a bigger and bigger thing, both financially, but also just from a people point of view. Euda, for me, what I liked about it was the systemic sort of holistic approach. It's a rich offering. There's education, there's monitoring, there's all sorts of things that can be used in companies and would be very useful in companies. And then the other thing is the way it integrates. And I think the fact that it's digital, the fact that it's modern. And so Euda, for me, is kind of like, it's talking to its audience. It's communicating well with the people who ultimately it can help. And I think that's great. It's just all about people. I mean, with people, you need the ability to communicate well, the ability to organise yourself, the ability to empathise, the ability to be aware of how you're being, the capacity to learn and reflect on what's happening around you. And often, when we're talking about mental health, this is one of the main strategies we try to focus on: is help people become aware, help them live more in the moment than in the past or in the future. So that they can be in touch with what's happening to them. Mental health is increasingly becoming a topic. I had a very interesting experience last year where I was called in by a CEO and a board who had an incident, a bullying incident, and the board's question was, is this a tip of the iceberg? Or is this a one-off? Is there other things going on in our workforce? And what occurred to me was that they had no clue. They really had no idea what was actually going on inside their company. But it occurred to me how many other boards are doing this sort of thing, where they're systematically trying to find out what actually is going on inside the company. And we've seen recently, some of these incidents hit in the news, where people are shocked and stunned by some of the behaviour that then surfaces. And yet, if you ask the employees, they'll say, well, it's been like this for years. It's just that the only people who didn't know were the managers. And I think that's a terrible situation. And the quicker that we can eliminate that and get the data into everybody's hands and the observation across the board, the better. Because when I look at companies and I'm trying to gauge whether this is a company of good quality, the one thing I look at is the quality of the conversations that happen in that company. If the conversations are good, especially the conversations directly between people and their bosses, that'll be a quality company, and a quality company is a profitable company. I think there's only three things in business. In any business, I think there's customers. I've spent a third of my life dealing directly with customers, often quite big ones. And the second thing is people, and the third thing is cash, and that's it. There isn't anything else. And so, if you want your customers to be happy, you shouldn't be just focusing on the customers. You should be focusing on your own people. Most companies today, their main strategy is service. And you don't get to service unless your people are engaged. So that, to me, is the number one focus of any organisation. Should be focusing on the quality of the employee experience.